The massive space station hung like a shining jewel against the darkness. Inside, beings from 100 different worlds moved through the wide hallways. Some had scales, others had fur. Some floated in the air, while others stomped on many legs. This was the Galactic Council Station, where the most important decisions in the galaxy were made. Zalara walked slowly down one of these hallways. She looked almost like a human woman, except her skin sparkled with tiny crystal-like patterns. Her people, the Ilari, had bodies partly made of living crystal. The light caught her blue-tinted skin as she moved, sending small rainbows dancing. On the walls, today was the most important day of her life. After 50 years of trying, her planet had finally been given a chance to join the Galactic Council. Zalara had been chosen to speak for all her people. She had trained her whole life for this moment. "Delegate Zalara, the Council will see you now," said a small green being with 4 eyes. It didn't look at her as it spoke. Zalara took a deep breath and followed the green aid through a set of tall doors. Inside, the council chamber stretched up so high she couldn't see the ceiling. 7 beings sat at a curved table on a platform. They looked down at her from their high seats. "The representative from Ilaria may approach," said the being in the center. It had golden scales and a long neck. Zalara stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. "Honored Council, I bring greetings from the people of Ilaria. For generations, we have worked to prove ourselves worthy of joining this great alliance. Today, I present our final application for membership." She held up a small crystal that glowed with blue light. Inside, it was all the information about her world, her people, and why they should be allowed to join. The Golden Council leader took the crystal with a bored look. Yes, we have reviewed your preliminary materials. There are concerns." Zalara felt her heart sink. "Concerns, Excellency? Our technology meets all requirements. Our culture embraces peace. We have no ongoing conflicts." A large, rocky being to the left rumbled when it spoke. "Your people are physically weak. The crystal components of your bodies break easily. The Council needs members who can defend themselves and others if needed." "With respect," Zalara said, trying to keep her voice steady, "strength comes in many forms. Our scientists have developed energy shields that your application is denied." The Golden Leader said, cutting her off. "The Council has voted. 4 against, 3 in favor. You may reapply in 20 standard years." Zalara stood frozen. 20 years. 2 decades of waiting, of watching other species join while her people remained isolated. She had failed them all. "This meeting is concluded," the leader said, already looking at a screen for the next appointment. Zalara bowed stiffly and turned to leave. Her legs felt heavy as she walked out of the chamber. The green aide didn't even look at her as the doors closed behind her. In the hallway, Zalara tried to gather her thoughts. How would she tell her people? What would this mean for their future? They had put all their hopes in this application. She was so lost in her thoughts that she didn't notice when the station's gravity suddenly shifted. It was a small change, barely noticeable to most species. But for an Ilari, whose crystal-infused bones were sensitive to gravitational changes, it was like being hit by a wave. Zalara stumbled. She tried to catch herself against the wall, but her balance was completely gone. She fell hard on the polished floor, and a sickening crack echoed in the hallway. Pain shot through her left leg like lightning. She looked down and saw the worst had happened. The crystalline structure of her leg had shattered just below the knee. Small blue shards lay scattered on the floor around her, a clear fluid that served as her blood began to pool beneath her. "Help!" she called out, her voice shaking with pain. "Please, I need medical assistance." A group of delegates from some insect-like species walked by. They looked at her, their antennae twitching, but kept walking. Please, Zalara called again, louder this time. A tall, blue-skinned diplomat slowed as he passed. Medical is on level 4, he said without stopping. You should transport yourself there. I can't. Stand, Zalara explained, gesturing to her broken leg. The diplomat looked uncomfortable. That is ... unfortunate. Then he too continued on. His way. More people passed. Some stared. Others pretended not to see her at all. A few whispered to each other, and Zalara caught fragments. ... typical Ilari weakness ... And ... this is why they were rejected ... The pain was getting worse. Ilari healing required special treatment, and soon. If the crystals in her leg set wrong, she might never walk properly again. A cleaning robot hummed toward her, stopping at the edge of the growing puddle of her clear blood. It beeped in confusion, not programmed to deal with injured beings. Override, said a delegate with tentacles for arms. Biohazard cleanup. Then the delegate floated away on a personal gravity disk. The robot started to absorb the fluid around her. It was treating her like spilled food or trash. Zalara closed her eyes. This was the final humiliation. The council had rejected her people for being weak, and now she was proving them right. Laying helpless on the floor while people stepped around her. She couldn't even stand up for herself, literally. Hey, get away from her. A voice suddenly called out. Zalara opened her eyes to see a human male rushing toward her. He wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Humans were among the newest species to join the council, considered primitive by many older races. The human waved the cleaning robot away and knelt beside her. Are you okay? No, sorry, obviously you're not. What happened? How long have you been here? Zalara was so surprised by his concern that she almost forgot to answer. My leg ... it broke when I fell. The gravity shifted. The human looked at her shattered leg and winced in sympathy. That looks really painful. I'm Jack, by the way. Jack Powell, junior aide to the Earth delegation. Zalara of Ilaria, she replied. The formal introduction automatic, even through her pain. Jack looked around at the busy hallway, his face growing angry. Has nobody stopped to help you? How long have you been lying here? Not long, Zalara. Lead, not wanting to admit it had been nearly 20 minutes. Jack seemed to sense the truth anyway. His jaw tightened as he watched another group of delegates walk by, carefully avoiding looking in their direction. This is unbelievable, he muttered. Then he looked back at Zalara with determination in his eyes. I'm going to help you get to medical. Is it okay if I carry you? I'll be as careful as I can with your leg. Zalara hesitated. Being carried would be another sign of weakness. But she had no choice. Yes, she finally said. Thank you. Carefully, with a gentleness she wouldn't have expected from a species known for their physical strength. Jack slid his arms under her and lifted her from the floor. He was warm, much warmer than in Ilari, and she could feel his steady heartbeat. I've got you, he said softly. Medical bay, here we come. And on the way, you can tell me who's responsible for leaving an injured person on the floor of what's supposed to be the most civilized place in the galaxy. As Jack carried her toward the medical bay, Zalara realized something strange. For the first time since arriving at the station, she didn't feel weak at all. Jack carried Zalara through the busy hallways of the space station. People moved out of their way, but many stared at the strange sight. A human carrying an Ilari was not something they saw every day. A medical bay should be just ahead. Jack sighed. He was careful not to jostle her broken leg. Zalara held onto his shoulders. The pain was bad, but she tried not to show it. You don't need to do this. You could call for a medical transport. And wait how long? Jack asked. No, this is faster. He paused and looked down at her. Besides, I couldn't just leave you there. Zelara didn't understand. On her world, people helped each other, of course. But here in the wider galaxy, most species only helped those who could offer something in return. What could she, a rejected diplomat, offer this human? They reached the medical bay doors. They slid open to reveal a large room with beds and medical equipment. Most of the beds were empty. A tall, thin doctor with gray skin looked up from a screen. "What is this?" The doctor asked in a bored voice. "She needs help," Jack said. "Her leg is broken. She fell when the gravity shifted." The doctor walked over slowly. "Ha, an Ilari. Put her on bed 7. The doctor didn't seem very concerned. Jack gently placed Zelara on the bed. A clear fluid that was her blood had soaked. Part of his uniform. He didn't seem to mind. "Thank you," Zelara said. She felt strange. No one had been kind to her since she arrived at the station 2 weeks ago. "No problem," Jack smiled. "I should go now and let the doctor work." "Wait," Zelara said quickly. She didn't want him to leave. "What's your name again?" "Jack Powell. I work for the Earth delegation. Just started last month." He looked at the doctor, who was preparing some tools. "Will she be okay?" The doctor barely looked up. "Ilari injuries are simple enough. The crystal structures will mend with the right treatment." "Good," Jack said. He turned back to Zelara. "I guess I should go. I have messages to deliver to about 5 different delegations." "Of course," Zelara said. She tried to hide her disappointment. Jack stepped toward the door, then stopped. "Actually, I could come back later to check on you, if that's okay." Zelara felt a warm feeling spread through her chest. Yes, that would be nice. After Jack left, the doctor approached with a scanner. "Humans," the doctor said with a sniff, "always getting involved in things that don't concern them." He helped. "Me when no one else would," Zelara said. The doctor waved a hand dismissively. "Humans are new to the galaxy. They don't understand how things work yet." The scanner beeped as it passed over her broken leg. "You'll need crystal replacement therapy. The broken pieces will have to be removed and new growth simulated." "How long will that take?" Zelara asked. 3 days in the regeneration chamber." The doctor pressed a button on the wall. "I'm calling for assistance to move you to the treatment room." 2 medical assistants arrived. They wore masks and gloves as they transferred Zelara to a floating stretcher. She noticed they were careful not to touch her directly. "Is my condition dangerous to you?" she asked. One assistant looked uncomfortable. "No, but Ilari biology is different. We prefer to be careful." They took her to a small room with a large tube-shaped chamber in the center. The assistants lifted her into the chamber, which was filled with a thick, clear gel. As they closed the lid, Zelara felt the gel begin to warm. "The regeneration process will begin now," a voice said from a speaker. "Please remain still." Zelara closed her eyes. The gel would dissolve the broken crystal pieces and stimulate new growth. It didn't hurt, but it felt strange, like thousands of tiny bubbles against her skin. She thought about what had happened. The council had rejected her people because they thought the Ilari were too weak. Then she had fallen, proving their point. No one had helped her except Jack, a human. The newest species in the galaxy had shown more kindness than all the others. Time passed slowly in the chamber. Zelara dozed, waking when the gel temperature changed. After what felt like hours, she heard voices outside the chamber. "I'm sorry, but you can't go in there." It was the doctor. "I just want to check on her." That was Jack's voice. "The patient is in regeneration. No visitors." "Look, I brought her some things from the Earth delegation. Just some comfort items. Can you at least tell her I was here?" There was a pause. "Very well. Now please leave, Zilara smiled to herself. Jack had come back as promised. Why did this human care so much about a stranger? The next 3 days passed slowly. The medical staff checked on her, but they said little. They adjusted controls, took readings, and left quickly. No one asked how she felt, or if she needed anything. On the 3rd day, the chamber opened. The gel drained away, leaving Zalara's skin dry and tingling. She looked down at her leg. The break was healed, though a thin line showed where the new crystal had grown. The doctor helped her sit up. The treatment was successful. You may leave when you feel able to walk. Thank you, Zalara said. She carefully moved her leg. It felt stiff, but didn't hurt. The human left these for you, the doctor said, pointing to a small package on a table. The doctor's tone made it clear they thought it was strange. After the doctor left, Zilara opened the package. Inside was a small plant in a pot, some earth chocolates, and a note. The note was handwritten on paper, something Zilara had only seen in museums. Hope you're feeling better, the note said. The plant is called a peace lily. Its tough can survive almost anywhere with just a little care. Reminded me of you. If you want to talk sometime, I'm in room 422 in the Earth section. Jack Zilara touched one of the plant's white flowers. It was beautiful in a simple way. She ate one of the chocolates and found it surprisingly good. Carefully, Zilara stood up. Her leg held her weight, though it felt strange. She took a few steps. She could walk. She put on the clean clothes that had been left for her and picked up the plant. She needed to return to her delegation and report her failure to gain council membership. It would be a difficult conversation. Her people had been counting on her dot, but first she wanted to thank Jack properly. Not just for helping her when she fell, but for reminding her that sometimes strength came from unexpected places. Dot, as she walked slowly toward the Earth section with the peace lily in her hands, Zilara realized something important. The council had been wrong about humans. They weren't primitive or simple. They just saw the galaxy differently. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Zilara walked slowly through the station hallways, still getting used to her healed leg. She carried the small peace lily plant carefully in her hands. The Earth section of the station was far from the medical bay, and by the time she reached it, her leg was aching. The Earth section looked different from the rest of the station. While most areas were sleek and cold with metal walls and bright lights, the humans had added their own touches. Plants grew in containers along the walls. Colorful pictures hung here and there. It felt warmer somehow. Lara checked the room. Numbers until she found 422. She hesitated before pressing the door signal. What if Jack was busy? What if he had only helped her out of duty, not true kindness? Before she could decide, the door slid open. Jack stood there in casual clothes instead of his uniform. His eyes widened in surprise. Zilara, you're up and walking. His smile was big and genuine. Come in, please. Zilara stepped inside. The room was small but comfortable. More plants sat on shelves. Books, actual paper books, were stacked on a desk. I wanted to thank you properly, Zilara said, holding out the peace lily. And to return your plant, Jack laughed. The plant was a gift. It's yours to keep. He motioned for her to sit in a chair. How's your leg? Zilara sat down carefully. It's healed, though there's a visible line where the new crystal formed. She lifted her robe slightly to show the thin line across her lower leg. It will always be there, Jack nodded. Battle scars. The humans get them too. He rolled up his sleeve to show a long scar on his arm. Fell out of a tree when I was 10. The doctor said I was lucky. If the break had been worse, I might not have walked normally again. And if I hadn't come along, Jack asked quietly. Zilara looked down. I might still be lying there. Or perhaps a cleaning robot would have reported me eventually. Jack's face darkened. That's not right. Why didn't anyone help you? My people are seen as weak, Zilara explained. After the council rejected our membership application, I was of no importance to anyone here. Wait, Jack said, leaning forward. Your membership application was rejected? When? Just before I fell. That's why I was in that hallway. Zilara tried to keep her voice steady. My people have tried for 50 years to join the council. We need the protection and trade benefits. Now we must wait another 20 years to apply again. Jack looked angry. That's ridiculous. On what grounds? They said we are physically too fragile, that we would be a burden rather than an asset. Zilara touched her healed leg. My fall only proved their point. That's the most backward thinking I've ever heard, Jack said. He stood up and paced around the small room. Physical strength is just one kind of strength. What about intelligence? Creativity? Compassion? Zilara watched him with interest. Your people are very new to the council, aren't they? 3 years. Jack nodded. And believe me, we had to fight to get in. The older species think we're too emotional, too unpredictable. Yet you were accepted, only because they need our resources. Earth has rare minerals that are hard to find elsewhere. Jack stopped pacing. What does your world have? There must be something valuable. Zilara thought for a moment. We have crystal technology that no other species has mastered. Our buildings can repair themselves. Our energy systems are very efficient. She paused, but the council wasn't interested in that. Jack sat back down. Tell me more about your people. I want to understand. For the next hour, Zilara told Jack about her world, about the crystal forests that sang in the wind, about cities built into mountainsides that glowed with inner light, about how her people could share emotions by touching the crystal parts of their bodies together. Jack listened with real interest, asking questions that showed he was truly engaged. No one at the station had ever asked about Elari culture before. Your world sounds beautiful, he said when she finished. I'd like to visit someday. You would be welcome, Zilara said. She realized she meant it. This human would be welcome. In her home. Suddenly, Jack's communication device beeped. He checked it and frowned. I'm sorry, but I have a meeting with my delegation. I have to go. Zilara stood up, picking up her peace lily. Of course, I've taken too much of your time already. Not at all, Jack said. Actually, I'd like to continue our conversation. Would you have dinner with me tonight? The Earth section has a small dining room. The food is human, but I think you might like it. Zilara was surprised by the invitation. Yes, I would like that. Great. Meet me here at 7 station time? After. Leaving Jack's room, Zilara made her way back to the Alari delegation's quarters. Her superior, Delegate Meron, was waiting for her. Zilara, where have you been? Meron demanded. We received word of your injury days ago, but you did not return after treatment. I apologize, Delegate Meron. I was ... Zilara wasn't sure how to explain. I was learning about human culture. Meron's crystal-flecked skin flashed with disapproval. Humans? They are of no importance to us now. We must prepare to leave the station. Our application was rejected. I know, Zilara said. I was there. Then you understand we have failed. We must return home and tell our people they must wait another 20 years. Zilara placed her peace lily on a table. What if there's another way? What if we could form an alliance with Earth? Meron laughed, a sharp sound like breaking glass. Earth? They barely have space travel. They have no influence in the Council. But they have resources the Council wants, Zilara argued. And they see value in us that the Council doesn't. You speak nonsense, Meron said. One human helped you when you were injured. That doesn't mean their entire species would support us. I think they might, Zilara said quietly. They understand what it's like to be judged unfairly. Meron studied her for a long moment. You have dinner with the Council representatives tonight. You will thank them for considering our application, and you will be gracious in our defeat. I can't, Zilara said. I have plans with the human delegate. Cancel them, Meron ordered. Your duty is to our people, not to some human who showed you pity. Zilara felt something she had never felt toward a superior before. Anger. It wasn't pity. It was kindness. Something the Council knows nothing about. Meron's skin darkened with shock. You forget yourself, Zilara. Remember your place. Zilara stood straighter, feeling the healed line in her leg. A battle scar, Jack had called it. My place is wherever I can best serve our people, she said firmly. Tonight, that's with the Earth delegation. She turned and walked out, leaving Meron speechless behind her. For the first time since the Council's rejection, Zilara felt something new growing inside her. Hope. Zilara arrived at Jack's room exactly at 7 station time. She had changed into her formal robes, which shimmered with tiny crystal patterns. Her heart beat fast as she pressed the door signal. Jack opened the door and smiled. You look amazing, he said. He was wearing a dark blue outfit that Zilara guessed was formal wear for humans. Thank you, she replied. These are my diplomatic robes. I thought they would be appropriate. Perfect, Jack said. I hope you don't mind, but I've invited a few others to join us. Some people I think you should meet. Zilara felt nervous suddenly. Who? Just some members of Earth's delegation, including our head diplomat, Olivia Bennett. Zilara's eyes widened. Your chief representative? Jack, I'm not prepared for such a meeting. Jack touched her arm gently. Don't worry. It's just dinner. But Olivia was interested when I told her about you and your people. They walked together to the Earth section's dining room. It was small but warm, with soft lighting and plants along the walls. 3 humans were already seated at a round table. Everyone, this is Zilara from Alaria, Jack said as they approached. A woman with short gray hair stood up. She had kind eyes and a serious face. Welcome, Zilara. I'm Olivia Bennett, Earth's chief representative to the Council. It's an honor, Zilara said, bowing slightly in the Ilari way. Please sit down, Olivia said. This is Sam Kelly, our technology expert, and Lisa Chun, our trade negotiator. The meal was strange but good. The humans served food on plates, rather than in nutrient bowls, like most species used. They talked while they ate, which was also unusual. Most council meetings were formal and quiet. Jack tells me the council rejected your membership application, Olivia said, after they had eaten for a while. Zilara nodded. Yes, they said my people are too physically fragile to be useful. Allies. Sam, the technology expert, frowned. That makes no sense. Alliance value isn't just about physical strength. The older council species are set in their ways, Lisa said. They judged us harshly too at first. Olivia leaned forward. Zilara, tell us about your world's technology. Jack mentioned crystal-based systems. Zilara was surprised by their interest. She explained how Ilari buildings could repair themselves using crystal growth technology, how their ships used less energy than any others in the galaxy because of crystal power cells, how their medical science could regrow living tissue. The humans asked smart questions. They didn't seem bored or dismissive like the council members had been. This is fascinating, Sam said. Your crystal technology could help solve several problems we're facing. And your world has large deposits of these special crystals? Lisa asked. Yes, Zilara said. The entire southern continent is rich with them. We've never allowed outside mining because the crystals are sacred to us. But we do trade finished crystal products. Olivia and Lisa exchanged looks. Zilara, Olivia said carefully, would your people consider a direct alliance with Earth? Outside the Council framework? Zilara almost dropped her fork. A direct alliance? But that's unusual, but not forbidden, Olivia finished. The Council prefers to control all major alliances, but independent agreements are allowed. Why? Would Earth want an alliance with Alaria? Zilara asked. The Council said we have nothing to offer. The Council was wrong, Jack said firmly. Sam nodded. Your crystal technology could revolutionize our energy systems, and we could offer protection, trade routes, cultural exchange. This could benefit both our worlds, Lisa added. Zalara's mind raced. An alliance with Earth might give her people what they needed without waiting 20 years for another Council application. But would her leaders agree? My delegation is preparing to leave the station tomorrow, she said. Our rejection was ... final. Then we need to move quickly, Olivia said. Could you arrange a meeting with your delegation head tonight? Zilara thought of Delegate Moran's anger earlier. It would be difficult. My superior is upset with me already. Because you're talking to us? Jack asked. Zilara nodded. He ordered me to attend a farewell dinner with the Council representatives. I refused. The humans looked at each other. That took courage, Olivia said. Or foolishness, Zilara replied. I may have ruined my diplomatic career. Or started a new chapter in your people's history, Jack said. Olivia stood up. I'll make this official. Zilara, as Earth's chief representative, I formally request a meeting with the Ilari delegation to discuss a potential alliance. That should get their attention. After dinner, Jack walked with Zilara back to the Ilari quarters. They moved slowly, both knowing that something important was happening. Do you think your people will agree? Jack asked. I don't know, Zilara admitted. We've focused on Council membership for so long. An independent alliance is ... unexpected. Like a human helping an Ilari in a hallway? Jack smiled. Zilara laughed softly. Yes, exactly like that. They stopped outside the Ilari quarters. Thank you, Jack, Zilara said, for everything. I just did what anyone should have done, he replied. But no one else did, she reminded him. Only you. For a moment, they stood looking at each other. Then Jack reached out and gently touched the crystal pattern on Zalara's hand. Good luck with your delegation. I'll see you tomorrow? Yes, she promised. Tomorrow. Inside, the Ilari quarters were busy with preparations for departure. Cases were packed. Equipment was being dismantled. Delegate Moran looked up from his desk when Zilara entered. So you've returned. I hope your dinner with the human was worth defying direct orders. It was, Zilara said calmly. And it wasn't just the human. I met with Earth's entire diplomatic team, including their chief representative. Moran's expression changed from anger to surprise. Why would they meet with you? We have been rejected by the Council because they are interested in forming an alliance with Ilaria, a direct alliance outside the Council. Moran stood up slowly. That's highly irregular. But not forbidden, Zilara said, echoing Olivia's words. Ambassador Bennett has formally requested a meeting with our delegation. Tonight. Will you receive her? Moran paced the room, his crystal skin reflecting the lights. This could anger the Council. We may never gain membership if we form an independent alliance. Or we might gain something better, Zilara said. A true ally who values what we offer. Moran studied her face. You've changed, Zilara. 3 days ago, you would never have spoken to me this way. Zilara touched the place on her leg where the break had healed. 3 days ago, I couldn't stand. Now I can. Some things are only clear once you've fallen. After a long moment, Meran nodded. Very well. I will meet with the Earth Ambassador. But I make no promises. Zelara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It was a small victory, but an important one. For the first time, someone was going to listen. And it had all started with a broken leg and a human who stopped to help. 3 months had passed since that night in the Alare quarters when Delegate Meran had agreed to meet with the Earth delegation. Now Zelara stood in a grand hall on her homeworld, watching as humans and Alari mixed together at the Alliance. Celebration. The hall glowed with crystal light. The walls themselves seemed alive, shifting colors as people moved through the room. Earth's delegation had arrived that morning to sign the final Alliance documents. Now they celebrated together. Zelara wore formal robes with a new Alliance symbol O, crystal hand clasped with a human hand pinned to her shoulder. Her leg had fully healed, though the thin line remained where the break had been. She didn't mind. It reminded her of how everything had changed. There you are, Jack said, appearing beside her with 2 glasses of sparkling liquid. The famous Zelara, hero of the Alliance. She smiled as she took 1 glass. Hardly a hero. I just fell down at the right time. And got back up again, Jack reminded her. He looked different in formal Earth clothes, more serious somehow. The past 3 months had changed him too. He had been promoted after his role in starting the Alliance talks. Now he was Earth's official liaison to Ilaria. Have you seen the latest test results? Zelara asked. The combined Earth-Ilari science team has increased energy efficiency by 60%, using our crystal technology with your power systems. Jack nodded. And your medical team is already helping heal injuries on Earth that were previously untreatable. The Council was so wrong about what our worlds could accomplish together. Across the room, Delegate Meran was deep in conversation with Ambassador Bennett. The two had developed a surprising friendship during the Alliance negotiations. At first, Meran had been cautious, concerned about angering the Council. But as the benefits of working with Earth became clear, he had become the Alliance's strongest supporter. The Council representatives arrive tomorrow, Zelara said quietly. Do you think they'll try to stop the Alliance? They can't, Jack replied. It's already done. Signed and official as of this morning. But they can make things difficult. Restrict our trade routes. Limit our access to Council space. Jack touched her arm gently. Let them try. We'll find our own routes. Build our own future. A small bell rang, calling everyone to attention. Ambassador Bennett stood on a small platform at the front of the hall. Delegate Meran joined her. Friends from Earth and Ilaria, Bennett began. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter for both our worlds. 3 months ago, our paths crossed in an unexpected way. She looked directly at Zelara and Jack. Sometimes, the greatest opportunities come from the most unlikely moments. A chance meeting, a kind action. These can change the course of history. Meran stepped forward. The Council rejected Ilaria because they saw only our physical fragility. They failed to see our strength, the same strength that Earth recognized. From the beginning. Our worlds are stronger together, Bennett continued. Earth brings industrial capacity, defensive capabilities, and a fresh perspective to space exploration. Ilaria brings advanced crystal technology, medical science, and centuries of wisdom. And both bring compassion, Meran added, a quality too often overlooked in galactic politics. The crowd applauded. Zelara felt a sense of pride she had never experienced before. This was what she had hoped for when she first traveled to the Council station, a true partnership that would benefit. Her people after the speeches. Zelara and Jack walked out onto a balcony overlooking the crystal forests of Ilaria. In the distance, The trees glittered like millions of stars under the light of 3 moons. "It's even more beautiful than you described," Jack said, looking out at the view. "Wait until you see it in daylight," Zilara replied. "The whole forest seems to come alive." Jack leaned against the railing. "I've been meaning to ask you something. That day, when you fell in the hallway and I helped you, why do you think no one else stopped?" Zilara considered the question. "I think people see what they expect to see. The council species expected weakness from an Ilari, so that's all they saw. A weak being who had fallen and couldn't get up. But I saw someone who needed help," Jack said simply. "Yes, and that made all the difference." Zilara touched the alliance pin on her shoulder. One small act of kindness changed the future of 2 worlds. Inside the hall, music began to play. It was an unusual blend of Earth and Ilari soundstring. Instruments from Earth mixed with the crystal tones of Ilari music. Different, but somehow beautiful together. "I should tell you," Jack said. "The Council has been watching our alliance closely. Some of the younger species are starting to question the old ways. There's talk of reform." "Really?" Zilara was surprised. "After just 3 months? Change can happen quickly once it starts. The Tellarites have already asked about forming their own alliance with Earth and Ilaria. They were rejected by the Council last year." Zilara shook her head in wonder. "All this because you stopped to help me?" "No," Jack said. "All this because you were brave enough to accept help and then stand up for what you believed in. I just gave you a hand." A small chime sounded from Jack's pocket. He pulled out a communication device and checked it. "It's from Earth Command. The new ship is ready." Zilara smiled. "The Friendship? Already?" "Yes, the first joint Earth-Ilari vessel. Crystal power core with Earth engines. Twice as fast as anything the Council has." Jack's eyes shined with excitement. "And guess who they want to captain it?" "You?" Zilara guessed. Jack nodded. "With you as first officer and diplomat, if you'll accept. They want us to visit other worlds that have been overlooked by the Council, to show them there's another way." Zilara felt her heart beat faster. "Leave Ilaria? Travel to new worlds? Is that a yes?" Jack asked with a smile. Before she could answer, the doors to the balcony opened. Ambassador Bennett and Delegate Meron stepped out. "Ah, there you are," Bennett said. "We've been looking for you both. The Council representatives have arrived." "Early," Meron explained. "They're requesting an immediate meeting." Jack and Zilara exchanged looks. "I thought they weren't due until tomorrow," Zilara said. "It seems news of our alliance has caused quite a stir," Bennett replied. "They're not happy. What do they want?" Jack asked. "To speak with the 2 of you, specifically," Meron said. "It seems the story of how our alliance began has spread throughout the Council. Many are questioning why an Ilari was left injured while representatives walked past. It's becoming a symbol," Bennett added, "of what's wrong with the current system." Zilara thought of the scar on her leg. A battle scar, Jack had called it. Now it had become something more a symbol of change. "We should go meet them," she said. To Jack, he nodded. Together. As they walked back into the glowing crystal hall, side by side, Zilara thought about that moment, 3 months ago, when she couldn't stand, and a human had lifted her into his arms. She hadn't known then that she wasn't just being lifted to her feet. She was being lifted into a new future for herself, for her people, and perhaps for the entire galaxy. That sometimes the greatest journeys began with a simple act of kindness. And sometimes the strongest alliances were formed when someone stopped to help someone who had fallen.